20, Sean Murphy.
Yeah, Ray Reardon.
At points last season in saying this is the worst campaign I've ever put together. This year's different. You're getting back to the heights that have taken you to a Triple Crown. Excellent win in China. You had 3 finals and a bounce. What's clicking again this year that was missing last year?
I think it's difficult to put my finger on one thing. But I sat down at the end of the season and at sort of the start of this season and tried to work out what aspects of my life from a more holistic point of view, all of the things I'm involved in and a couple of other business interests that I have. And I was a player commission representative. I was a board member of the WPBSA. I was only practicing 4 or 5 days a week, not on a Saturday. You look at all of these things and think, right, which of these things are helping me? Which of these things are potentially hindering me? What can I do? What can I do differently here? If I keep doing the same thing, I will keep getting the same result. And so I changed literally everything. I now practice more. I practice on weekends, which I've never have historically done. You know, the winning trophies. The trophies don't know that it's a Saturday, so I'm still going practicing. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive wife and a very, someone who enables me to go to do these things. I resigned from the WPBSA board reluctantly, and I resigned from the Players Commission again reluctantly because I considered it a real honour and a privilege to represent this game and represent my other members and try to make this game better for them. And you kind of take a view on what's adding to your life and what isn't. What's a distraction and what isn't. And that's probably holistically the sort of way I've gone about it.
It sounds to me as though you recognised you were being spread too thin. Because also, apart from all those commitments, you're trying to be a father and you're trying to be a husband.
Yeah. Very difficult. And if you could give 100% of your life, as I did as a young boy, to snooker, I had no commitments, no responsibility, that's great. And as you get older, you amass these... Ultimately, they're things that distract you from that goal, but they're obviously much more important, having children, being married, relationships, all of those things, trying to hold down. It's all very important, but it all just nips away at how much energy you can put into what's supposed to be one of the most important things in your life. And with some very strong words of sometimes quite confrontational, but people who were trying to help me. Fergal O'Brien took me aside and gave me a real stern dressing down as a friend and said, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Chris Henry, back in my corner, we need to change this, we need to change that. You've slipped back on doing this. And then, I've got my wife at home, saying things like, we believe in you. Let's come on, let's get, let's go. Let's keep the positivity, keep trying to achieve. And I'm very, very fortunate to be in that position. I've got some excellent, great people around me. Because there were some very dark moments last year and in the previous season where I could have easily, if I'd had anything to walk away to, I would have walked away.
So therefore, how satisfying was it to take your first ranking title in just over, 2.5 years and in a decider against Mark Williams? That could, from what you're saying and the position you were in at the start of the season, that could turn out to be a highly significant victory when we look back on your career in many years' time when you've retired.
I went back to my room and had a good cry.
Really?
Because there were some times last year and in the season before where I really considered my future as a potential winner of snooker tournaments. Yeah, I would have kept my tour card and I would have stayed on. But there's, when you rock up to an event, some people are just looking for a paycheck, whereas some of us are looking for trophies. And there was a while there where I really had to look myself in the mirror and say, do you think you can do this anymore? Or have you become one of the many? And that was a very uncomfortable conversation to have. And I had it with other people. And their belief in me was probably what carried me through, because my belief in me had gone. My get up and go had gone up and gone. And their fire, their belief, really kicked me up the backside. And I owe it all to those people I mentioned.
He's the magician, Sean Murphy!
Absolutely thrilled to be in the Welsh Open. 14 years after my first attempt at winning this great tournament, it would be an absolute thrill to lift that wonderful Ray Reardon trophy. I think, you know, we're all here, we're all trying to win, and I think if you can't get yourself up for a final of an event, you know, then you're definitely in the wrong job. I can't wait to get out there and play. I'm really excited to be in another final, and hope I win.
To be here.
Absolute snooker.
A great pleasure indeed.
Brilliant.
Especially with two of my Welsh compatriots.
Well, you've been talking, you've been
Fantastic.
chatting away through
I'm
that
so
little
excited
feature.
because I didn't know they were here.
More excited to see these two than you
I
are to
thought
be
they
sat down in the
didn't-
arena.
Listen, where's Mark? Where's Mark? We want Mark here now, and that'll be nice.
Yeah, well, he went out early in the week, didn't he, Mark Williams?
Yeah, that was quite a surprise.
Yeah.
Really.
What have you made of it?
Of what?
The tournament so far.
Oh, fantastic. Lovely.
Yeah.
Well attended. Standards are very high. I think the standards are growing up, actually, yeah.
You think the standards are going up each year?
In parts, you know, yes. Sometimes they have a bit of a poor run and then things go amiss, if you like, and they start hitting the balls instead of stroking it. Pressure comes in from the tournament itself and television and the people. But the game itself will get to you in the end, in any case. What a game.
Yeah.
Do you play?
Sean Murphy, I do a little bit, but not to the standard of these guys here. And we
Well, very badly, in other words.
Well, we see Kyrie Wilson up here in the practice session, and well, very badly.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry about that. I shouldn't ask you a question.
No,
That's wrong. I beg your pardon.
no, that's fine.
When you watch these players today, Ray, and you've sat in the audience there watching the first four frames there, how's the game changed since your era to what you're seeing today? Are players more aggressive? Are they better long potters? Do they play long pots differently?
Not a lot has changed in the game itself, but the players have changed because they're younger. I mean, if you go back to my A days, well, I mean, when I won the world title for the first time, 1970, I mean, I was 38. I mean, they're winning the world title now at 18, 19, 20, and all sorts of ages. And they're coming through in droves, not just one and two. So, yeah, the game is progressing wonderfully, I think, yes. I think that introducing this type of play, with a star table, and they're always playing on it year in, year out, and every tournament they play is on that type of table. The speed is amazing. The speed is about a quarter of a length faster than in my day.
Right.
Which is a lot, really. Maybe the balls have got a little bit lighter.
They have, I think, yeah.
I don't know. That's only my own.
They are.
As I see, and I judge that by the way the ball comes back with backspin. I do. Well, if they complete now, you can screw the length of the table quite easily. I could never
Plots
do
are
that.
different now as well.
Yes.
Vastly different. But we play must be 30 tournaments in a season or more. How many tournaments in your heyday were there during an average snooker season, would you say?
5.
5.
Times have changed.
Just
There are
5.
so many these days, aren't there? Are there any particular players I wanted to ask you who I know you've worked with Ronnie, you mentored Ronnie a bit in the past. Any particular players you admire now and you'd like to play with or against?
Well, I was surprised to see Ronnie go out here, actually. I was hoping that he would win it, actually. No disrespect to our fellow professionals, but because of my own association with him, it'd be nice to present him with the trophy that they bestowed upon me from Wales, you know, yeah. But, I mean, so many good players, you know. Trump is an amazing player.
Yeah.
How he hasn't won more games, I do not know. Well, I do know, but it's not open for discussion, that isn't, no. And there's Sean here, he's doing very, very well.
Yeah.
A former world champion.
Well,
I met him in my early days. Sean used to come down and have a game with me in Devon.
Oh, so you've coached him a bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
He had 3 visits with me. Probably thought that was enough, perhaps.
I bet you'd love to. You know, you've had a fantastic career and everything, but I bet you would love to have your time again now on these tables, the way they play, with the way you played the game, and the way you
Absolutely,
struck the
because
ball.
it's a stroker's game.
Yes.
Yes, it's a caresser. You've got to be a nice soft touch, you know. If you notice today with Kyron, every ball he missed, he attacked. On the opening shot
We
into the corner
we
pocket.
said that instead of stroking,
He's hitting the ball too hard.
Hard. He always does with the long game. He is a hard hit of the ball, and we've seen that there today.
When you bring a hit into your action, your cue ball hits the ball fatter than you normally would judge it to hit, you know. So it pushes into it, in other words. You'd have to allow a fraction off to allow for that push into the ball. That's very difficult to do. Look, I never lost sitting down. It's easy to comment sitting here and everywhere in the auditorium, but yes, it's a very difficult game. Made to look easy by the standard of play.
You are looking very well, Ray. It's lovely to see you, and we look forward to seeing you presenting that Ray Reardon Trophy to the winner this evening.
I'm all right from the neck up.
Frame 5.